They're coming in now. Yay. We'll give it a couple more minutes while people are joining this webinar. So welcome everybody, the Thursday before the holiday weekend. Very excited, guys. This is one of our biggest webinar registered people for the the entire year. So really excited about this one. See, we'll give it just about 30 more seconds as people are piling in. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome everybody. My name is Tanya Gentry. I'm the Chief Sales Officer for Big Red Media, a division of TMT. This is how this MSP got 11 new clients in just 2 weeks and the exact strategy he used to do this. So I'm going to introduce that MSP in just a few minutes, but I want to do some house cleaning items. Just so everybody knows, this is being recorded, so it will be emailed out to you after the webinar is done. So you don't have to worry about that. The other things too, if you have any Q&A, any questions during this, feel free to put it in the Q&A box at the bottom. You can put it in the chat too. I'll try to grab those, but if you have anything that you really want to make sure we get to and we don't miss, put it in the Q&A and we'll make sure that that gets answered for you. We also have a couple of polls that we're going to do, one at the very end, so stay on if you will and participate. These are great information that we're looking for from you guys, so if you can make sure that you do that, we would appreciate it. I'm seeing a bunch of people chat where they're from, so yeah, put that in there. Let us know where you're calling in or where you're dialing in from. Like I said at the beginning, this is one of the largest webinars that we've seen people register for this year, so we're super excited for that. And I want to introduce our speakers. So first and foremost, our MSP that did this is David Javaheri. He's the president and CEO of Direct IT Inc. Also to our TMT's 2022 Better Your Best winner. So anybody that has access to go back and see that, if you didn't hear David's story, I encourage you to go and look at that. It's amazing. And I had so much fun traveling with David all that year. So thank you, David, for being part of this. And then we have Jason Wells, who's the Chief Operating Officer of Javaheri Security. I've had the pleasure of working with Jason for a couple of years now, so incredibly knowledgeable, and you guys are going to get so much out of it. So guys, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Can you put the first poll question up there, please?
Yeah.
And say if this was on Friday, I could just like Robin be drinking and have a drink.
Definitely.
But it's Thursday, so we're gonna go without it. All right. Thanks again. And everybody, thank you for joining. So this was a very, very interesting campaign that I want to talk about. Let me start sharing screen, and I'm going to tell you what was so different about this campaign. You guys see my screen now? Perfect. So let me start by what I was thinking when I started this campaign. Robin always says your best prospects are your educated prospects. And I was thinking, you know what, the list we buy, we all buy, from data access, seamless AI, Zoom info. We really can't ask for only educated lists, right? We get like, I want 200 manufacturers, I want 100 lawyers. But sometimes they are educated and sometimes they're not. And the story behind this is I felt like I'm behind most of you. I had not done any pen test. I did not have a vendor to do a pen test. So up to about, I would say 3 months ago, 4 months ago. And I always wanted to do one, but I was so busy with co-managed campaigns, with so many other campaigns. And I told myself that I'm going to start selling pen tests, because everybody, when I come to the events, PC club members, all the events in Nashville and across the country, Robin's events, TMT events, I noticed how everybody talks about penetration tests. So I said, all right, so I started the penetration test, and I said, probably a lot of people don't know about it, just like I don't know about it. And I'm an MSP owner. So I grabbed on the fact that your best prospects are your educated prospects. I started quickly starting to do some seminars to educate people on penetration tests as I was learning about it. And while I was doing this, my plan was to educate them, as Robin says, for 2 months or so, a very soft, not even a soft sell, just educate them. And then 2 months later, go full force and sell to them after I educate them. While I was doing this, my team was evaluating a couple of companies to see which one we want to go with pen test. I knew we were going to choose one in a month. I didn't know which one, but I didn't also let that stop my selling process. So the campaign that I started, basically, these are the ingredients. You need a contact list, or at least this is what I did. This is what I recommend, of 50 companies, 100 companies with 50 plus. Then you need to prepare a security/insurance webinar to show them why pen test is important, why two-factor authentication is important, all of those things that we all know now cyber insurance companies are asking for. I created a landing page, directitcorp.com/pentest. I created postcards. By the way, all of these will be shared and we'll post this to the dashboard. Then an email to follow up and a calling script. So these are the ingredients for this campaign. And a very interesting story about it is why I only did it for 2 weeks. That was not the plan. The plan was to go at it a few months. But I was so busy with 2 other campaigns. And I'm sure you've heard of them. One was a Small Business Tech Day with Robert Herjavec, and the other one was Trust-Based Marketing, is where we create a magazine. So I bought those 2 packages from TMT, and I was hoping to do this for a few months, but I just basically had 2 weeks to run this, and I had worked so hard for it because especially I had done the webinars for educating clients, and I didn't want to not do it. So I said I have 2 weeks before I jump back on the Small Business Tech Day and trust-based marketing campaign. So why don't I just do something for 2 weeks? So let me continue and explain each of these. So I prepared a webinar on cybersecurity insurance, no hard sell, only educational, right? And I send the invite to companies with more than 50 employees. Obviously, those are your best potential clients to sell penetration tests. But you can also set it, as I've learned, to a lot of financial companies that are 10, 15 users, because they have to do it as well. So when I did my webinars over the phone, I basically included IT, mostly to CEOs, but if I had IT contacts as well in these companies, I invited them as well. And these were the title of my presentation, right? In my invitation, learn why cyber insurance carriers have been denying only partially paying out 50% of the claims. This is a very tempting title for a CEO that has in cyber insurance and says, what do you mean? I have cyber insurance. They're still not going to pay me. And then find out why penetration test is an important thing. My step-by-step process. So eventually, obviously, we picked Bonahai. As my seminars are going, and I did 4 or 5 seminars, I had in one, the lowest I had 6 people attend. And I believe in the highest one, I had over 50 companies. I would send them to over 100, 150 companies in my Infusionsoft, in my database. So as education going on, and as I picked Bonahai, I picked 2 small clients because not only I haven't done it, no one in my support team had ever done it. So we had to see what effect it has, because this is a full penetration test, right? This is not it's a full penetration test. That's what I need to say about it. It's a complete penetration test. We didn't know what effect it's going to have on our EDR, our Sentinel-1. Is it going to catch it? Is it going to cause downtime? So I picked 2 small clients, knowing that A, I need referrals for this campaign, and B, if these 2 clients get it for free, telling them that, hey, it's between it is. When you Google this, you're going to come up with anything between $4,000 to $100,000. That's how much a pen test costs. It's a wide range. So I told these 2 clients, hey, it's free for you. I may cause some issues, but we are on a standby. And you get it for free, but you also need to be a reference for me. So those of you who've done a full penetration test, you don't need to go through this process. That's fine. I hadn't done it. So I picked these 2 clients and I ran it. We didn't come across any major issues. So that worked. So I had 2 clients as my reference. Then, well, this is it, 2 small clients. I picked under 20 users because I didn't know what's going to happen, right? This is what I told them. Pen test, it's not mandated. It'd be mandated by your cyber insurance very soon. And some verticals, some industries are already mandated, as I'm sure you guys know. I'm new to this, you guys, most of you probably are not. And this is the average cost. So once I was done with these 2 big clients, I still wasn't ready to market it. I wanted now to test it on a big client and see how that big client reacts, because I was sending it to a lot of big clients, right? Over 50 users. So I picked one big client, friendly client, talked to him, same condition. Hey, it's going to be free for you, but I need you to be a reference and I may cause some issues, but don't worry, we're on standby. And we'll take care of you. So now I had 3 clients under my belt, 3 references, and I start sending postcards. Postcards, I think, went out about a month or so after my webinars. And the first pen test, postcard, actually, you know what? I could jump to the postcard right now. Here we go. Was very attractive. Getting hacked sucks. Wouldn't you want to hack yourself before the bad guys do? I got so much attention from this postcard. And usually, obviously, my pen test was there. I gave 80% off because I said, if it's 4,000 to 100,000, and if something is 10, 15, 20, 30,000, so of course I can give 80% off and still make a lot of money. So I put that in. This is the one side of the postcard. Here's the other side. Benefits of postcards, and this website at that time had 80% off. Again, and then we start calling. So let me go back to my process. I just wanted to show you the postcard, which is this one. And then when the postcard went out, we start going back to my ingredient. The emails went out, and then the call happened. So I usually time it at the same time. The date that I anticipate the postcard to arrive is the same day in the morning that I send the emails to the same group of people. So, and then we call them standby. So if we're making 50 calls today or 30 calls today, 30 emails are going out to the 30 people that we're calling, and I anticipate it's not an exact science, but I anticipate the postcard will arrive approximately on that day. All right, and then the other thing that I want to show you, I am showing you my dashboard on Infusionsoft, or Keep as we call it, which is very, very important task. And if you're not doing that, you should definitely be doing that, not just for pen tests, for every campaign. So when we send emails out, here we go. Here's December 2023 pen test email. So we send emails to 180, 142 delivered, 40 opened, 16 clicked on. So we are watching this on the day we're emailing to any campaign. And the moment this 16, we get these names with 16 people that clicked on, we're calling them within an hour of them double clicking on our emails. Sometimes if we have additional time, we're gonna call the other 40 that also opened it. But the 16 definitely get a call from us. So here's another campaign I want to show you that are second request insurance agent campaigns. 85 emails went out, 11 opened, 4 clicked. Infusionsoft gives you that information. So these 4 people immediately get called within an hour as soon as they start clicking on our email. Because you all been to TMT events. Robin always says, get them while they're hot. The first hour, when they click on the emails, you got to call them. And I had a lot of success. The worst reaction that I ever got, it's weird, right? You open an email and someone calls you within a few minutes. And once in a while we get, how fast are you? Are you watching me? This was so fast. And I always have an answer that I teach all my salespeople. And they say, well, you think this is fast. Once become our clients and you'll see how fast our support team is calling you back. So we try to push it to that direction that our support is even faster than our sales guys. So that's my answer. But this always works. If you watch emails, you definitely get a lot of clients out of just watching emails, watching Infusionsoft, and calling people who they click on. So going back to the PowerPoint, this is the process that I follow, right? And I did it for the 2 weeks that I had. What I want to talk about as well, the other thing that I can do, part of my selling process. So not only now you send the postcards to your potential clients, I also went after my current clients that I knew I could work with. I started telling them about the pen test, why they should have it. I asked them for their insurance application that they filled out. So imagine calling 20, 30 customers that already have a cyber insurance policy, asking them, hey, send me your application. I looked into application, and the moment I saw pen test required, or do you have a pen test? I called them back and said, hey, either you said yes on this, you should have not. You haven't done one. But we should immediately do one, because if they catch you that you didn't do a pen test, but you check marked it, they're not going to pay you. So out of the 11 that I sold, I think 3 or 4 were current clients. But the best thing out of those postcards was the MSP appointments that I got, not just the pen test itself. Sorry, that's my coffee machine. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It's stopping. The pen test sales that I got MSP appointments that, hey, my current IT guy is not doing this. And we obviously push for those appointments. So not only now you can start selling to new clients, you can start it to your current clients. And the amount of money, again, Jason can talk about how much it is. But I made 11 times, 10 times, I think, more than what I paid the entire year to Kaseya. The entire year in the first 2 weeks that I sold this product. So, and then obviously, when I was doing this, a lot of people asked why I chose Wanahai. As I told you, we're going through an evaluation process. So these are some of the reasons that I wanted to sell, and I'm going to give you a surprise thing that I came across that was not one of my reasons. So they're SOC 2 certified way before they became be purchased by Kaseya. Jason, when did Kaseya purchase Wanahai? Was it this year? It was this year, right?
Yes, it was end of April of this year.
End of April, right? So last year, when they were not a member of Kaseya, they won the IT Nation Connect Best Award. They are in the Gartner group as one of the top companies. And then for internal pen test, it was so easy. Obviously, I don't do VM because I don't want to go to a client and set up the software on their server, or a non-client for that matter. So what I did is we did a nuke, a little Intel nuke, and we installed the software on it, and we put that inside the client environment. That's only when you want to run an internal pen test, right? For external, you don't need it. External, you have the IPs, you're good to go. And then obviously it's a complete pen test. That was the other reason that I picked one up. So these are this is the postcard that I used. I want to go over to see if I missed anything. Yeah, the cross sell I talked about. Contact your 10 big clients that they have money and try to sell them the pen test. That's what I did, and I sold 3 or 4. Obviously, I'm going full force. I'm putting new postcards together besides the one that I showed you. After January, after we all come back from the PC event in New Orleans, and I'm going to go full force after it. I'm also done with the Small Business Tech Day. That project is over. talked about my selling process. I want to leave some time for Q&A.
Yeah, we've
I'm gonna
got,
stop sharing.
yeah, we've got a couple that have come in here. Just to make sure we've got it. Were the 100 companies targeted cold farm lists or qualified leads?
Qualified. They were qualified. Yes.
Perfect. Another one from Nancy is, what is REG stand for? Or, yeah, what does REG stand for? I think it was in one of your slides.
RG.
Yeah.
Let me share it back.
David, I think that was like in when you were showing Keep and you were showing that.
Oh, in Keep? Oh, sorry.
It may have been REQ, not REG. I'm not positive.
Let me show Keep again. Okay, back to Keep.
Yeah, I think if you scroll down a little bit, I think like second I think it's REQ.
Yeah, REQ.
That's my guess.
Oh, so Robin has, this is one of my, I'm glad you asked this question. It's for second request. The email that you push people away. Hey, it looks like you're not interested, or this is goodbye. Second request, we call that a second request. I don't know, Tanya, I think Robin calls it second request, or
Yeah.
the goodbye. It is called second request. This is the second request email. This is a very short email that says, hey, I'm gonna leave you alone. You're not interested. Here's what you're losing. Have a good day, something like that. So, and then we send it to different people. So second request email is one of my bigger lead generators as well.
Perfect. We've got lots that are coming in now. One more on the postcard service. What do you use a postcard service? They're asking.
I use, yes,
Mania.
Vistaprint, Tanya.
Okay.
Very easy, guys. You just upload it. If you have time, or you can do it done for you. But I go to Vistaprint, I post the postcard there, upload it. Then I upload the Excel sheet. I should say I export all the data out of Infusionsoft into Excel, and then from Excel into Vistaprint, and they mail.
Okay, awesome. And lots of questions about, Vanahai and the pricing structure of it. It looks like, so I think Ken says he used hosted scans and Cyber CNS, but Jason, you want to talk a little bit about, the structure on that and becoming a Vanahai client?
Yeah, so the pricing structure is an IP block model. So you get a set amount of IPs each month. You can use those on any clients that you want to. Those can be internal or external IPs. We don't differentiate. So you, again, in our platform, you'll be able to do external penetration testing and internal pen testing. So you'll set a schedule. If you're going to do an external, you'll put in the publicly facing IP addresses, usually less than a handful, right? And then on the internal, if you want to do an internal test, you'll put in those internal IPs or ranges. It'll look at those ranges, identify what are active, and then count those toward the license. But you'll get a set amount each month. Again, you can use those on any client. So maybe this month you want to use it on, clients A, B, and C. Next month it'll reset. You could use it on the same clients, or you could use it on a completely different set of clients. So it gives you a lot of flexibility to do a lot of tests in that model. And, you can have some that you're doing one-time testing for. Others you could, maybe you want to do quarterly testing or monthly testing. So you can set different schedules depending on the client need and what you sold to them, right? We start at 250 IPs on the base package, and our 3-year pricing on that is $495 a month. That's kind of that's our standard pricing for that. So as kind of David alluded to, you basically can sell one pen test, cover the annualized cost, and then all the other tests you do and sell are at no additional cost to you, which is how you can really, start driving a lot of highly profitable revenue using penetration testing. So that's the model there.
Perfect. Another question came in, David, this is probably more for you. Well, what gross margin would you charge for the pen test?
Okay, so a lot, because it's between 4,000 to 100,000. I I'm putting a price structure together because again, in that 2 weeks, I had no time to move so quick and be very organized. So depending on the industry, in financials, for internal and external pen tests for about 50 users, you can charge anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. That's what the going price is. And that's when you get 10 times of what you pay the entire year to Kaseya in one pen test. So those are the type that I charge. But when I go to, smaller companies, I've charged anywhere from 2,500, the lowest, to 18,000 on the 11 that I sold, highest. But I will put a price structure together, hopefully for New Orleans. But I think every industry, we should have a different price structure per industry because we can.
Very cool. Nancy came back. It was REG Insurance.
REG Insurance.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So it was in my PowerPoint then.
Yeah, probably.
I'll find it.
While you're doing that, talk a little bit about, where did you acquire your qualified leads from? Were they prior conversations? How do you make them qualified in order to be able to deploy something like this to them?
Yeah, sure. So as I'm sure most of you know, and most of you also do the same, we don't just do one campaign, right? We buy the list I buy my list from Seamless AI, Zoom Info, Data Axle. The list we buy is normally, my experience, is 60% accurate, 40% inaccurate. There are multiple ways to clean up your list first before they start making qualify. The most common one, Adam, the current winner of Better Your Best, has a very nice process in place to clean up your list. That works. I do it differently. The moment I buy, let's say I buy 2,000 names, I quickly send a postcard to all 2,000 names. I don't call, I do nothing, just send a postcard, and I wait a month. Sometimes it takes that long to see how many postcards are returned. So I go to Vistaprint, I click on an option that says, do you want these cards to be returned to you if they're not deliverable? There is no additional charge, right? This is a part of post office service. They return cards, they don't need a double stamp or another stamp to return it. I wait to see what comes back to me. So usually when I send 2,000 postcards, 800 comes back to me as undeliverable. So I got 1,200. I assume those 1,200s are good. And I start marketing, sending them letters. Aspirin letter costs more money, obviously. You don't want to send aspirin the first time. That's why I send a small postcard. They're even smaller than a standard postcard. So I don't even have to pay full stamp for that. I pay like 35 cents on the first postcard. So on the other 800, we start calling just to get the right address. They're not part of the database yet, main database. On the 1,200, as we call, let's say we call them 5 times, 6 times over a period of a year. We correct the contact name as we move forward. So every campaign that I do, I get a more qualified, better list as my list keeps improving. You can't do that on day one. You have to do a lot of campaigns eventually. So these people that received Vanahai postcard had already received multiple cards or letters from me, multiple calls from me over the period of a year or two. And in a lot of cases, they've said either they're unhappy with their current IT company, but they can't move because of the contract length, or the IT company promised them they're going to behave this time, give them another 2 months. All kind of excuses why they won't move, switch to us. But we keep them in what I call sales pipeline, and then we pay special attention to sales pipeline to these clients. So these become more qualified over multiple marketing campaigns. Did I answer that question? Was that helpful?
Feels like it, yeah. We have a couple more of the marketing questions, and then we're getting into a little bit more of the details of Vanahai. What size postcards do you use typically?
I think 5 by 7.
Okay. And then did you have, this came in actually the chat, what scripts do you use when, for the email campaign calling within an hour?
I will give you the script that I used, so we can post it.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's very similar to, I don't know if anybody has answered the polls question. I had never done that. Every time we call for managed services, right? We call to managed services. So I want it to be different. And we actually pushed back. We don't want your IT business. We want to make sure you've done a pen test. And that's what most of the call is. The call and script is, have you done a pen test? Have your insurance company required to do a pen test? Would you like to do one? Now, I'd like to add that I said I had one surprise that I didn't know when I called. I want to say that now. Did you guys know, Jason knows, Wanahai used to sell to Fortune 500 or Fortune 1000 before Kaseya bought them? I have come across companies when cold calling, big companies, that they said, oh, we know Wanahai. We've done work with them like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. They did a pen test for us. So they are kind of known, which was amazing surprise, a pleasure, a good thing for us, knowing that this company is known because they've been marketing pen tests themselves before Kaseya for a long time. So that was a huge plus for me as well. You'll find that when you call much bigger companies that there's a chance they know Wanahai.
Very cool. We've got some Vanahai questions in here. Can you say again what you use to deploy Vanahai internally on the client NUC or another type device?
Yeah, David, I don't know what you're using. I mean, you can use a NUC, a mini PC, a Raspberry Pi. It can just be downloaded to like a laptop workstation, something like that on the client's side already. You can deploy it virtually through Hyper-V, VMware, VirtualBox, something like that. So it's just a small little agent that has to be within the internal network in order to do the internal penetration test.
Awesome.
Yeah, the same. We use a small Intel box, a small appliance. It's made by Intel.
Were your pen tests offered as a service provided by your company or as an independent third-party offering?
That is actually the beauty of Wanahai. I can do both. So with my clients, I put it on Wanahai logo because I know that I shouldn't be putting it on my logo for the insurance company to accept it. So you can go back and forth with Wanahai. So when the pen test happens, we actually don't do anything. Wanahai does all the work. And then at the end, when the report is ready, you can pick, you want it on Wanahai logo or you want it on your own logo that you uploaded already. So with clients that I sold that were not my MSP, I went with my own logo. With my regular clients that I already have, I went with Wanahai logo as a third party.
What does your script look like when you're offering a pen test?
I'll post it. It's very simple. My cold calling script?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, I'll post it. It is very simple. It is, I'll try to find it to give you exact answer, but it's a very simple cold calling the script. I'll find it. I'll see you.
Do you remediate the issues after the pen test, or is there more for us to take care of? I'm not sure if that's for David or for Jason.
I think for both, for me probably. So it's very interesting. When you do it for a non-client, you hope to find a lot of issues. When you do it for your clients, it's the other way. You hope you don't find any issues. So, so when we do it as a direct IT policy, I do not do any work on anyone's network if they're not a client. We don't do one-off projects. We don't do any of those things. So I know, I tell them to go, tell them it's your current IT problem. You go to them, show them the list. But if you want to, switch to us, we'd be happy to do these remediations. With current clients, we do the remediation. So, and we didn't find much. And I'm going to tell you, for new clients, for non-clients or potential clients, you should convince them to do an internal pen test, because internal pen test finds a lot more than external pen test. And then, like almost every company that was not a client, internal pen test found so much. With our clients, obviously we take care of it. We found a lot less. I don't think we found anything that was on the priority or urgent list, but on a secondary list, yes. But we went ahead and remediated those at no charge because they were our clients. But we charged them we charge them big for the pen test.
And just to add to that, the output of the pen test, right? It's a report that shows you what we did, how we did it, and it's going to have the recommendation on how to fix each issue, right? So it'll, you know, typically our partners are, you know, they run the test, they get the results, and then they work with their end client to remediate the issues. Vanahai is definitely not ever involved in any remediation work.
Jason, do you have an SOP to follow with your pen test?
So I'm not exactly sure what we're referencing there, but you know, so the platform itself, you're really just adding a client and walking through a scheduling process. That is definitely going to, the platform walks you through how that's done. And then all the pen testing is done on our side. So you're not, as the partner, involved in any decision-making processes or anything with the pen test. It just runs, it does a full pen test every time, and we go from there. We do have sample statement of works, like our partners want to, you know, so that they can contract with their end client through that, and they can provide, you know, details around what we are doing in a pen test for that contract. And so we provide that information that can be white labeled and used for contracting. I don't know if that any of that answered that specific question, but
it answered someone else's in there too. They
go.
wanted to know if you have a prospect sign something before scanning to cover yourself legally.
Yeah, the partner should definitely do that, and then we have that in our contracts with our partners.
Very cool.
Yeah, you can copy Vanahai, whatever Vanahai makes a sign, have your customer sign that as well, so to cover yourself.
Two questions came in on this. David, when you mentioned that the pen test, what you charge, is that per year, per month? David, that was you. And then what actually, you know, what do they get with that? What all does the client or the prospect get with that pen test?
Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm new. This is a very good question. And one of the biggest benefits of Vanahai is, Jason, you want to talk a little bit about the automation, and then I'll answer that question specifically. How automation works and how it's amazing. Like you said it once and every month and it does it. You want to talk about that for a second?
I can. So you know, if you look at the typical industry for penetration testing, it's typically a security consultant doing manual processes. And so that's why the market has to pay $10,000 to $20,000 for a penetration test, as David mentioned. You know, unlike, you know, the vulnerability scanning that's all been automated for a long time, right? You know, that's a much lower cost solution. Pen testing is typically a person. So the automation allows us to reduce the cost for everyone, build it into a platform for partners. You don't have to have the resources to deliver pen testing. The platform does it. So that it puts you in the position of being able to offer pen testing to meet that client need, right? The $10,000 to $20,000 pen test, if they went and hired a consultant to do it. Now you can come in, offer it, you know, however, you know, the price point you want to, below what the consultant's offering it, pass some of that cost savings on to the client. You're in a better position to win the business because it's more affordable with you, and you're able to, you know, deliver results faster. And then the last piece that David was mentioning is like recurring, right? So that typically when the client's paying $10,000 to $20,000, they're getting just one test and that's it. And so with our platform, you can set recurring schedules. So you could actually offer this to the end client at less than the cost of a one-time test, but offer it on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, or maybe you offer one-time test and then you help them remediate issues, and then you offer a retest to prove that those issues are fixed. All of that extra testing, it doesn't cost you, the partner, anything extra, right? So you can kind of work with your end clients on that, what their need is from that standpoint. But either way, you're going to be able to go deliver this into a market that's paying $10,000 to $20,000, and you can beat them with speed, frequency, and cost.
So how I do it, now that you know you can do it both ways, I don't do it as an automated thing yet, because I think there's a lot more to be made if you offer it as a one time and then do it maybe 3 times a year. At the moment you put the word automated next to it, you're, in my opinion, I'll be devaluing the product. I don't want to devalue it. It's right. A pen test takes a lot of time. It's time consuming. You're paying $20,000, $30,000. I'm charging you $8,000. we should run one every maybe quarter. So I haven't automated yet. I may, but I'm doing it one at a time, one pen test at a time.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions around that too, about how often do you run a pen test? Is there continuous pen testing for compliance? Talk a little bit about like, how long does it stay valid, for like an insurance standpoint? Is that yearly that they need to do? Can you talk about, maybe what are the compliance, pieces with doing the pen test for different industries?
Let me take it first, and then you can answer it as well. So it depends on the insurance companies. I've seen a lot of insurance applications that they require once a year. They want to see if at least once a year they have run a pen test. And then how long does it stay? I mean, not technical, and I will not answer technical questions, but if they open a port a week after you run a pen test and leave it open, obviously a week later that pen test is not going to show anything, and a week later they're open to get hacked. So
yeah,
how often you want to run it is up to you. It is not time consuming because Javaheri does all the work in the back end, and Jason, you can take it from here. We actually don't do anything.
yeah.
We run the pen test.
I mean, like, right. So, the reason typically compliance requirements are once a year. And then if there are any significant changes on your network, right, that's typically the requirement. I believe that, really is the requirement right now, because again, it costs too much to do pen testing for a lot of companies. It costs too much anyway, but like for, you to do monthly or quarterly pen tests and you're paying $10,000 to $20,000 each quarter is just not feasible, right? So compliance says, well, we want you to do this at least once a year and then supplement it with vulnerability scanning. From a security standpoint, though, as David mentioned, I mean, you run a one-time test today, in a month from now, a new exploit may come out, and you're going to have to wait a year to figure out if you're vulnerable to that exploit, or you make a change on the network, and then now all of a sudden your network is at risk, and you don't know it until you run the next pen test next year. So from a security standpoint, you do want to be doing this as frequently as we would recommend up at least quarterly, if not monthly.
How long does it take to run a pen test?
So the test itself takes about 3 to 5 hours on average. And then we do have, so it'll deliver real-time results in the platform when we do that. We do have a team, though, that's going to analyze the final results and give ourselves a couple business days to do that before we deliver the final report. So you do get a pen tester having their eyes on the results, validating those before we deliver the report.
Right. That's what actually is amazing about Javaheri. You don't have to analyze the report. They tell you, like, it's not on us. It's part of their services that they come back and tell you, hey, these are the issues that you see here. And their support is very, very good. Sometimes, I think one time a client had a specific question that we couldn't answer because we were new at this. Within an hour or so, we got an answer specifically about an issue from Javaheri. And then my suggestion, guys, is if you ask me how I would recommend for you guys to sell it, I would sell it one time for the first 4 or 5 months, make a lot of money, and then eventually bring it to your clients if you want as a repeated, as automated. And then you can also add it as a security option on top of your MSP sales, as maybe second level of insurance that, hey, we can add 4 pen tests a year for this much additional money. But I would sell them as a single one, because you can, if you can sell a single one for 12,000, you can't sell 4 of them at 48,000. So just go at 12,000, 8,000, 6,000, and then after a month or two, then you can decide how you want to integrate it into your MSP package.
Perfect. Is there a model for doing a pen test on a company who's almost entirely work from home and who uses cloud services for their operation?
So it's a network penetration test. So it has to have a network, right? For it to work. So we can do cloud infrastructure. If you've got a network that people working from home are remoting into and connecting into, I mean, we can test whatever, we test the IP addresses that you put in the platform and tell us you have permission to test. So, if you have permission to test those work from home IPs, then you can do that. If they are connecting in through a VPN or something like that, though, it's gonna really like reduce the it prevents certain types of attacks. So that it really isn't a great use case for network penetration testing, the full work from home where you're connecting into basically cloud solutions.
When you're doing an internal pen test for someone that is not a customer, do you always have to work with their existing IT technician? Will admin credentials be needed to run the internal pen test? And then I think there was also, while we're talking about that, do you cover, some of, does Vonahai cover the credentials, or is that something that you have to get somewhere else?
Yeah. So if you talk about like working with the prospect, right? So you have to have that internal, like the VM connected to the internal network. So you have to work with someone there to, get that connected to the network. And then you have to know what the IP addresses and the targets are, so you can put that into the platform. So that's, and obviously you have to get their permission to do it. Right. And then, so that, that's really all you have to do to interact with the client from that standpoint. I forgot the second part of that question. Do you remember?
For external, we don't need need to let their IT guy know. We just need the client's permission, the prospect's permission. But for internal, yes, you do need that.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how like Vonahai differs from Galactic Scan? I know a lot of our clients have both. So talk a little bit.
So they're really not the same thing, right? So Galactic Scan is has a version of testing, sending that link out and kind of testing that computer and whatnot. And it's a part of a pen test. It's not a full scale penetration test. So like what we focus on is that full scale pen test that meets compliance requirements. Ours is going to do that. Theirs is really like more of a prospecting tool. It's a very good one, right? And so I think they can be used together, but it's, if you need to deliver a penetration test report that meets compliance requirements, that's what you would, that's our platform is going to do that. I also said, you're talking about another, so Cyber CNS. So that's a vulnerability scanner. So there, make sure we talk about the differences. There's a lot of vulnerability scanning platforms. They do vulnerability scanning, which just analyzes the network for known vulnerabilities. The pen test is actually going to show you which of those vulnerabilities are exploited. You replicate a hacker, try to exploit those vulnerabilities, show you which vulnerabilities are exploitable. Then from there, we actually try to move across the network, crack passwords, escalate user privileges, try to gain access to the network. So Cyber CNS is going to fit in that vuln scanning category. I remember the other part of that other question. It was about credentials. So it's a black box approach. So you don't provide credentials. Our goal is to try to obtain credentials during the test.
Is Vonahai selling direct to enterprise still, or is it now channel only?
Yeah. So, through Kaseya, we definitely have a team that sells to MME. We call them MMEs. They are typically larger organizations that have like internal IT teams of 10 or more, right? So our partners are typically targeting smaller organizations than that. Even though in those internal teams, you can still leverage our platform and the licensing model to go do independent penetration testing into those larger organizations. So, but yeah, there is the ability for the end client, the internal team, to use our platform.
Let's look at the, does either one of you know if the insurance company is fined if they don't do a pen test?
Yeah.
Company? Oh, go ahead.
So I kind of look at it as two ways, right? So you have the insurance company that is supposed to be protecting their data, right? And they're required by compliance requirements to prove they're doing penetration testing. And I do think they can be fined, or if examiners come in and ask for pen testing reports and they're not doing them, they're out of compliance there. And then the other side of the insurance that we're talking about have been talking about is more, the end client needs to get cyber insurance. They are applying for that, and the insurance provider is requiring or asking at minimum, are you doing penetration testing as part of that application process? And our platform will help you do that so that client can say yes. And then oftentimes they're able to get cheaper insurance, things like that. And then obviously you do not want to say that you're doing an annual pen test and then not be doing one and then have an issue because, they're not going to cover it.
Perfect. For support with the solution, are we working directly with staff at Vanahai or Kaseya?
I mean, we are one now, right? No, but I mean, we came over with our support team. That support team is led by Vanahai employees and staffed by Vanahai employees. And now we're hiring people that are part of that team. So it's support people focused on our product.
Yeah, we worked with Vanahai support directly. I mean,
Yep.
I believe you haven't even emailed for support for Vanahai support.
Correct. Yeah, you contact our support team at support@vpentest.io, things like that.
Awesome. So the pen test report, is it client friendly or is it very technical?
I mean,
If I can do it, you all can do it.
there's an executive summary that's got a high level overview, and then there's a technical report. The findings are still kind of outlined in a way that's like, this is the description. Here's what we see as the security impact of that. It's all very like, written the technical written for the IT people so they know what the issues are. They can fix those issues. But there is an executive summary that just highlights like here, did we compromise systems? Did we gain access to sensitive data? What's the overall severity ranking? Things like that. So that each test delivers both of those reports.
Awesome. Ken's got a question on here about, do you have to open any specific ports on the firewall? The Palo Altos we use has created issues with pen testing in the past.
So, I mean, our recommendation is not to, is to leave it the way it is, right? Like the whole idea is to test the real world scenarios. So if you have security controls in place, including firewalls, like we want to test with those in place, see what happens, make sure that they stop us. That is the real world test. Oftentimes, yeah, I mean, like if you've got a SOC or a SIM, like it should alert on some of the things we're doing. So you want to communicate with that, whoever's managing that, in order to make sure that they know that when they get those alerts that they're not an actual attacker, they are us. So there's some coordination there. You can whitelist our IP addresses and bypass those things, but it's just, I mean, that's not the way we would recommend to do it.
Awesome. Is there a month-to-month subscription available for Vanahai, or is it an annual contract charged monthly? I'm pretty sure I know that answer, but
I mean, there's a minimum of an annual subscription, and we can, I mean, you can pay it up front, but we bill it monthly typically.
Jason, do you know what that number is? Is this something you can announce? I know for the minimum purchase.
Yeah,
they know how low it is. They realize.
Yeah, the 250 IPs is, our base price on that is $495 a month.
So with 500, how many IPs? 250?
250 IPs.
Yeah, you get 250 IPs with 500. So 500 times 12 is 6,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
One pen test.
Yep.
100 IP gets you 15,000. As long as they have 100 internal IPs, you can charge that much for it. So it definitely, money is not the issue about this product. I always said, I have no idea why is it so low, but I loved it. And I honestly think Vanahai is probably the huge win for Kaseya, in my opinion. It's just one of the best buys ever.
And that comes back to a couple of questions on here. Someone's asking, does Vanahai offer any initial pre-sale support as we get started with this and sit on a call? And then also, Bonnie had asked earlier for those webinars that you may be doing. David, do you host them, or can you have Vanahai speak on there as well?
No, I hosted them myself. I didn't help use Vanahai for my security seminars.
Yeah, so I mean, like, we're talking about the low cost of this, right? It's hard for us to support, doing sales calls with partners at that price point. Having said that, we do have a lot of sales enablement materials. We have in the onboarding process, we're going to walk you through how to set the platform up. We're also going to walk you through how to read and interpret our report. We have a support team that can answer security related questions. Me and the sales organization are always going to help answer questions that your end client may have, but we can't do pre-sales like trainings and that sort of thing.
I like to add that I don't think you guys be successful selling this with a technical approach, right? It's not a technical sell. It's you don't get paid by your insurance if you get hacked. If you have a claim, and then by the way, I found my cold calling, which actually relates to this. Can I share the screen again we have one more minute, couple more minutes? Here's my cold calling script. The thing is, you spend so much money, Mr. Client, on security stack. Don't you want to test it to see if it's working for you, if it's not blocking everything? That is the sales you're going to make in your seminar. You're going to explain how insurance companies require these things, how they're not going to pay you if you haven't done this, even if you have cyber insurance. And basically, it's a scare, but it's a scare that is real. They need to be scared. They need to understand the consequences of not testing their security stack that they spend so much money on with their current MSP. So that is the approach. It's a very simple call, and that's what we say when we call.
So we've got just a couple more on here. I want to throw in here, and then I do want to make sure we get this poll out before the end of this. But David, do you offer on your website has an offer? Is it internal, external pen test, and then pricing for both? I think you touched on that earlier already, but if you want to answer that, and then also
so we do not post pricing on the website.
Okay.
We do offer both internal and external, and then it says if you are interested, fill out this form, and then we talk to them what industry they are, and we decide from that point on how to price it.
Very cool. Do you have the ability to share your recorded webinar that you did on it?
Not at this time. Yeah. Not at this time. But I will share the postcards, the calling script, all those things. Okay,
perfect. Yeah, guys, you can put any more questions. We've got a couple more minutes, but I do want to go ahead and get this poll up here. This is something we would love for you guys. This is the second one, if I can get it to pull itself up. Let's get that one over here. 1 second. We have that. It's wanting to be difficult to me, so hold on just a second. Here we go. All right, so this one talks about just really what you're interested in the product. So something that we want to definitely engage your interest here. If this is something that you're would like to get more information, we want to make sure that you get that as quickly as possible, especially with the holidays coming up. So any other questions that I have? I don't see anything coming in the Q&A. Yeah, we are sharing everything that David put on the PowerPoint. That will be shared out to you guys. You will get that after the call with the recording, and we will make sure that is shared. Anything else, David, Jason?
No, thank you, everybody. If anybody has other questions, you can send them to me. I'll be happy to do whatever I need to answer more questions.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we're available for talking through pricing structures and demoing the platform and all that stuff. So you can reach out to me directly and we can figure out setting that up.
Wonderful. Do you guys want to throw in the chat your email address? That way, I think, Jason, that might be helpful. But guys, you did a great job. This is wonderful. We really appreciate you coming on. Oh, I did wind up getting a couple questions. If you guys have a second, we'll throw it on here. They're just really talking about thank you. That's the big piece of it. Ralph did have a quick question. Do you do is there an onboarding cost for it? Jason, or is it just that monthly cost that you were talking about?
We do have an onboarding. It's $4.95 for the onboarding.
Okay.
And it's a training. It's a very good training that we got. of how to use it, but how to present it. And I want to add, they have a very good marketing department, by the way, guys, that you can use. They have postcards, they have things that you can use to sell.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much. We appreciate you guys being on here. And like I said, this will get sent out to you within the next 24 hours. So have a great day and happy holidays.
Same to you. Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.